This video is a brief introduction to all the CPD resources available for people wanting to teach essential digital skills, which you can find on the Education and Training Foundation's website, which is called Enhance. The first thing to notice is that there are two separate sections to the Enhance website, and the first one you're taken to is the EdTech section. But the area that I'm focusing on is the EDS section, which you can find top right from this drop-down list. First of all, you can go to an introduction to the whole site, which explains the various opportunities available. And this is quite a nice summary: an interactive self-assessment tool, online resources, including a series of 20 short online learning modules, face-to-face training and online webinars, an online community of practice, and a multimedia CPD toolkit to guide you through the program. The self-assessment takes about 10 minutes. It starts with some very basic questions about you, but then it'll ask you about your level of confidence in each of the 5 essential digital skills areas of the national standards. So beginning with question 1 about using devices for teaching, the first rating shows that you want to explore this topic, so very basic. The second rating says that you have a basic understanding of computer equipment. The third rating, well, you can see what the comment is up above, just here. And then 4, 5, 6, and 7 is always, I'm confident in teaching this topic to other learners. It goes through 17 questions in all, and I wouldn't advise you to take ages over it, but at the end, once you've completed these questions, you click Save, and you get a summary of your ratings and also detailed feedback. You also get pointed to various learning modules which are likely to be most relevant to you. So that's the self-assessment. Next, what's important to know about is the learning modules, and these are what the majority of people will find most useful. You can get to them either from the feedback you received, which points to certain learning modules that seem most relevant, or if you go back up to this section in the drop-down list, gives you quite a nice idea of the design of the whole website, starting with the self-assessment tool, going on to these learning modules, and then talking about the community of practice. So I'll show you one of these learning modules. This one is in the Creating and Editing Skills area, and it's working with Digital Media 1. Click here and it'll take you to this learning module. So this home page takes you through the design of the learning module, and all modules follow the same format. It starts with an introduction, has 3 chapters, followed by a section called Teaching Exemplars, which I'll explain a bit more about later, then a summary and a quiz. Now you have to complete and answer correctly all 8 questions in the quiz before it's reckoned that you've completed the module satisfactorily. The last section is called Further Resources, which is really useful when viewed in conjunction with the Teaching Exemplars page. And I'll show you why in a minute. All of the learning modules follow the same structure, starting with an introduction, but I'll show you the first chapter to give you an idea of the content. So this chapter is going to show you how to use a digital camera and to capture images, how to use the scanner to capture digital images, and how to capture images from a computer screen. It starts by talking about images using a smartphone or camera or tablet, sorry. And as you can see, there's a little video here that you can play. There's a mini quiz, and then it talks about digital cameras. First, fairly basic ones, and then more fancy ones. Another little quiz here. And then it talks about using a scanner, and then you doing a screen grab. Another little quiz, and then it talks about file formats. JPEG, which are the most basic ones, and RAW, which you can do more with but take up a lot more space. There's a small section about copyright, another little quiz, and that's the end of the chapter. You can navigate through these training modules either by using this arrow or these dots, or you can go to the home page and just jump to whichever section you want. So I'm going to jump to the Teaching Exemplars section just to show you what's involved there. All it does is suggest various ways that you might introduce the topic to your learners. And I was particularly taken with this. Google Maps and Street View are a great resource to use with learners. Google actively encourages the creative use of their product. See link in further resources. So this is how further resources can be used in conjunction with Teaching Exemplars. If I go back to the home page and go to further resources, you'll see that there's a bit here about Google Maps. Google Maps and Street View permissions to use, an excellent resource open to use. When you click here, it takes you to a Google page. So I'm coming out of the learning module altogether now, and here's an explanation from Google and a section called Personalizing Your Map. You may annotate our maps with additional information like points, lines, or labels. In fact, many of our tools have built-in features that make it easy to do just that. For example, Google My Maps lets you draw lines and shapes on a Google map. So click on Google My Maps. These are some of the maps that I've made, which seem like quite nice things to do with students. This was a trip I made in Scotland last year, and you can add photos of where you went. It's quite a nice thing to do with your students, showing them how to personalize and perhaps just how to get to college or where they went on holiday or some other trip they made. Going back to the learning module, there are 18 of these, 20 in all, but 2 of them are summary modules rather than focusing on specific skill areas. At the end of the module, there's a summary quiz, 8 questions, and you have to get them all right for the website to regard you as having completed the module satisfactorily. You can retake if you get questions wrong. When you've completed all the modules in one skill area, such as creating and editing, you get a digital badge. So let's go back to the drop-down list from the Enhance homepage and click on About Essential Digital Skills Badges. These are the badges that you can earn as a result of answering the quizzes correctly in one of the 5 skill areas. And once you've completed the quizzes from all 5 skill areas plus the 2 summary modules I mentioned earlier. You also get a badge showing that you've done the whole lot. These can be shared by email, on your LinkedIn profile, or wherever you like. They can also be used as evidence that you've completed some self-directed CPD. Now, I also mentioned training events that we do. So let me go back to the home page and get back to the drop-down list. And right at the bottom, you can see Essential Digital Skills Events. Click on there and you get information about the events coming up. And also, if you scroll down the list, you can find events that have already happened with recordings. You can sign up to hear these recordings, so don't worry if you've missed past events and would like to catch up on them, because you will be able to access recordings. So keep an eye on the events page, which will be changing week by week. And there are various different kinds of sessions on offer, some shorter, some longer, and some more focused on specific pathways such as ESOL, special needs, or offender learning. And lastly, I'd like to show you the community of practice, which you can access from here and again from the drop-down list, either there or here. And here you can see various forums with different threads in each. Some of the forums focus on specific teaching specialities like offender learning, ESOL, special educational needs, while some are more general. But I would also like to draw your attention to this button top right, View All Resources, because people are sharing resources on the community of practice. If you click on this, you can get a list of all the resources that have been shared, which are free to download. And as you can see, there are 4 pages of these resources. And this will grow over time. When you go into one of the forums, you'll see that the button has changed. So if we go into News, for instance, and it's changed to Actions. And here you can either add a thread of your own choice, or you can add a resource. If you want to add a resource, you simply click on Add Resource, and here you can either add a website or a file. It will just ask you for a few details and some tags at the end to help people find the resource.